Hello again, I'm Tripp Rogers, and this is Tripp's Take. All right, we're going to talk about a little hodgepodge of stuff this week on Tripp's Take. First of all, a new TV series that debuted Sunday, Watson. It stars Morris Chestnut, and I've always liked him as an actor and the stuff I've seen him in. It is one of those interesting mystery shows, drama, but it's one of those shows that now seems to follow the trend, like Matlock and High Potential. There's an underlying theme with the character in addition to the episodic nature of the show. I've read some good reviews and bad reviews, but we actually got through maybe the first half of it the other night, and Sandy said to me, "Hey, I like it." So we'll give it more of a chance. But again, it's on the lines of, again, Matlock, High Potential, Elsbeth. I forgot to mention that too, which is another CBS show. And Elsbeth is somewhat of acquired taste. She is quirky, but I mean, she gets to the point. And I did not realize the character was previously used on another show that was created by the husband and wife team that created a couple of TV series that they've had. So I didn't realize that until recently, talking over with folks about it. But anyhow, that's a couple things to watch. Also, I got a chance to see Back in Action on Netflix. It's Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz. And I've always liked Cameron Diaz in action-type roles. She is very good as an actress. Now, she had taken some time off and had given up acting because she wanted to raise her family. This was her comeback. And, of course, Jamie Foxx had all his medical issues while they were filming this movie here in Atlanta, or in the Atlanta area, in the Georgia area. It also stars Glenn Close. It is somewhat predictable. Retired spies, they got kids get kidnapped, they've got to do stuff, yada, yada, the whole 9 yards. It is predictable, but it was pretty good. We enjoyed it, and they've set it up possibly as a sequel to another movie on Netflix, so we shall see what happens with that. Super Bowl. Well, obviously, you've got Kansas City, you've got Philadelphia. I will take credit for predicting the Eagles at the beginning of the season on our Fantasy Sultans radio show, which we do on Sundays, at saying I think the Eagles would be the NFC champion. This is way back when everybody was jumping on the Lions bandwagon. And I stuck with the Eagles all season. And I have a soft spot in my heart for Philadelphia because while covering the team in the early 2000s, I went to the Super Bowl with them in Jacksonville in 2005. And I again, the Philadelphia fan base is one of the most, if not the most, enthusiastic fan bases in the NFL. So the success they enjoy is something I feel good about. It's funny because it's a rematch of the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, I said the Eagles were not ready for this big-time moment. I said, I think that's what'll happen in the end. That's why the Chiefs would win. And it kind of bore itself out. A different team 2 years later. And I am not one of those bitter Giant fans who wish plague and pestilence on Saquon Barkley because he left the Giants. I think his success and his notoriety because of what he's doing, I have always known he was a gifted athlete. He just didn't have a line to run behind with the Giants. And people say, well, if he had stayed with the Giants, I said, if he stayed with the Giants, he would have stunk this year. Just like the rest of the team. I don't know how it would have changed, everything else. I mean, the offensive line is terrible. So it's good to see him have some success. And the Kansas City Chiefs are going through a three-peat. I want to see history. I would love to see history. Now, of course, if you want to split hairs, the Chiefs would not be the first team to win 3 consecutive NFL championships because the Packers did it back in the early 30s, and they did it in the mid-60s, and actually that last championship was the first year of the Super Bowl. So they played in the Super Bowl. But in the Super Bowl era, there has been no team that has ever three-peated. And I think, listen, this Chiefs team is the first team to get the opportunity to, because of the fact that the other teams lost in the conference championship games. The Eagles won, the Chiefs won, and they go on. So now we shall see Taylor Swift and the Kansas City Chiefs against the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll give you a pick on that game next week as we get closer to the contest. But, the Super Bowl is coming up, and it'll be interesting to see how Tom Brady does. I thought he did very well in the championship game. He had a couple of good playoff games this year. But I don't know if the long-term bodes well for Mr. Brady being a commentator, whether he'll come up and approach the levels of, Tony Romo, Greg Olson, who also works at Fox. And that's the problem. Tom Brady has to be compared to other people. Tom Brady's not used to not succeeding. He's used to succeeding in everything he does. And I mean, that's one of the things you have to really applaud with him, because he does things, and he's done things people have not said they could do, but that he could do. But again, this is a different breed of cat. This is a different animal, and that's, I think, what's very, very important at this point. But we shall see. The Super Bowl coming up a week from Sunday. And that is Tripp's Take for January the 30th, 2025. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to reach out to me, trippstake@gmail.com. Our fantasy sultan, Mike Scheck, and yours truly, Tripp Rogers, the Hall of Famer, and I have one more podcast. We'll be doing that. Drop it next week before the Super Bowl. For fantasy football players, again, the Fantasy Sultans will help you. Again, we will get you geared up. 2025 will be here before we know. We're already starting to work on stuff for 2025. Like the music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you've listened to WTRSradio.com, supported by Live365.com. Join me again next week. I thank you for joining me. For now, Tripp Rogers. Make it a great one.